You're listening to the Good Question Podcast with Richard Jacobs. Our goal is to make each of our guests exclaim, that's a good question. I don't know the answer. Because when that happens, it means you, the listener, may be inspired to learn more beyond the interview and to ask great questions yourself that lead to new insights. In this podcast, we cover historical and current anthropology, comparative religion, and history. Welcome, and let's get started.
Hello, this is Richard Jacobs with the Good Question Podcast. I have a guest for the second time, Matt Ferrell. He lives in the Boston area. He's a UI UX designer by trade, but he loves technology. And in 2018, he started a YouTube channel called Undecided, which now has well over 500,000 subscribers. Very cool. I'm sure when he gets to the million mark, he'll be back to celebrate that.
I think I'm over 1 million now.
Oh, wow. Oh, excellent. Okay. So what's the next goal then? What, 10 million or just 5 from here?
Yeah, that's never going to happen. I'm just enjoying the ride.
Right on. Okay. Yeah, I know from being in, into technology and stuff myself, it's not easy to get subscribers. So the fact that you have 1 million is fantastic. There's not a lot of people who go for the top. It's not like they're bad topics, but it just seems like the glitzy, like just non-deep topics, non-science topics seem to get a lot more subscribers easily.
Oh, they do. For sure.
But Matt has a great channel. Anyone listening right off the bat, I'll tell you should definitely watch it. It's awesome. He's covered stuff like, EV, the solar panels, smart homes, all kinds of engineering stuff. Today, we're going to talk about AI. And I'm sure he's learned quite a bit about it. So welcome back, Matt. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me back on. Happy to be here.
Yeah. So tell me about, the AI stuff you've been learning. I mean, everyone's talking about ChatGPT all the time and these large language models, but I know there's a lot more to the world of AI than that. So what have you been seeing?
Well, there's my personal experience, which is a lot with the LLMs, but it's also every topic I look into now and every person I talk to, it doesn't matter what the industry is. Almost everybody talks about how they're using AI and machine learning in their development process of whatever they're doing. So you're seeing a lot of AI use in battery research. So people are using it for material science, looking at new polymers, for separators, new chemistries, different things they can do to the battery chemistry to make it safer, last longer, all those kind of things. I've talked to people in the fusion industry who talk about how they're using machine learning and AI models to simulate reactions with plasma and different things so that they can zero in on the areas that they need to build something out in a practical means to test. So they can run millions of permutations and zero in on the 10 that they want to actually try. So it's speeding up development.
It's like a computerized wind tunnel with models instead of having to only use the wind tunnel.
Yeah, exactly. So basically it's kind of like kind of throwing gasoline on the fire when you talk about like research and development and how things are advancing in that realm. It's kind of been surprising to me. It's like, because the way it's hit the news and the consumer market now, like we're all aware of it now because of the stuff with, deep fakes and like these videos that come out that look almost realistic, or human voices are getting cloned. All that kind of stuff is becoming more aware to us as consumers. But AI has been widely used now for years in research and development and in other industries. So it goes way beyond just the large language models that we're seeing today.
Everyone's using the term. It's a big buzzword. But most of the time, I don't think people know, okay, what is, I don't know what is, I'm trying to think of some company name now. I can't even think. I don't know, what is Apple doing with AI? What is Google doing with AI besides, maybe the obvious stuff? You just see all these companies, we're incorporating AI. Like you mentioned battery testing. So any particulars in some hardcore science areas on how they're using AI specifically?
There's been recent news articles that came out in the past week or two, blanking off the top of my head of exactly who it was, but there was 5 different materials that were discovered in a research lab using AI that would help to reduce the amount of lithium needed in batteries, that would help increase the cycle life of batteries so they would last longer. Different things like that, of like just being able to tweak chemistries in different ways to make them more efficient. It was kind of fascinating. It's like just literally, this was like last week, I think the news article came out where they detailed 5 different advancements this one research group came out with, and it was all powered by AI. So
it seems like what AI is good is like searching what I call like the solution space. Like I don't know if this is a good example for people, but I saw an equation, the result of it graphed out, and it was like peaks and valleys. You have these big hills and then these holes, and so we can't really see like all possibilities or all answers in the answer space. But AI can brute force its way and see all of them. And I know from engineering, sometimes people will get caught in like a local minimum or local maximum, meaning they'll think that they've optimized something and they just can't get another answer to it. They can't get any better. But AI seems to, again, be able to brute force its way through that and find every possible answer, to make things more efficient. Or, if I have like 5 ingredients and I'm going to cook something, it comes up with some crazy concoction that I never would have thought of that actually works because, again, it can search the whole solution space. Is that how you picture it? I mean, that's how I picture it, but I don't know.
No, it's a really good way to put it. Talking about recipes and ingredients is kind of the way I've kind of wrapped my head around some of this. And that's a good way to put it, is it has the collective knowledge that you've fed it of here's how all these different ingredients can be used. And here's millions of recipes. And then you go to your fridge and you say, I've got these 5 things in my fridge. What can I make out of it? And it gives you a list of 10 things. Here's 10 things you can make out of it. It's just, it has all of that knowledge that you fed it at its fingertips and takes seconds for it to reference it, where for us, it would be a lot more difficult to do that. We don't have that kind of like rote memory where we can just like pull it up at a whim. So it's from my personal experience, like I've been using more and more of these AI processes in my workflows because AI is a tool. It's a lot of people get freaked out about it's going to take over every job. I don't necessarily see it that way. I see it as these are fantastic tools and agents that can kind of accelerate what we do individually. So for me, like I could give you an example of one of the things I'm doing right now with this is I keep tabs on dozens of different websites and news feeds, RSS feeds, to kind of filter through and see if there's any new interesting topics that are coming up, like that battery report I just talked about a minute ago. And the problem is I subscribe to so many different things. My RSS feed gets 700 to like 1,000 new news articles every week. So you're talking about having to comb through 100 news articles every day. And I will tell you right now, 70% of that stuff is stuff I don't care about for my channel. So it's kind of like a fire hose of information that I kind of have to like scroll through really quick, and it's kind of date ranked. So the newest stuff's at the top, the oldest stuff's at the bottom. I created an automation workflow that uses an AI where this stuff comes into my RSS reader, and then this AI goes in and it has my entire database of every script I've ever written for my channel. So it knows exactly the kind of topics I talk about, what I like to do, how I like to talk about it. And it takes that article, basically reads it, it scrapes the news article and compares it to everything I've ever done on the channel. And then it gives it a grade from 0 to 100 of how relevant does this seem to Matt?
That's cool.
And gives it that grade. And then I can then sort my RSS list by most relevant. So things that are closer to 100 at the top, things that are closer to 0 at the bottom. And now it doesn't, for me, I can skim through these articles way faster than I ever could before because I don't care about the stuff that's below a rating of 50 or 60 because that stuff's going to be not really relevant to me at all.
Yeah, it's just a productivity tool. Yeah.
Right. So it's like, this is something that can kind of accelerate how we work in whatever your job is. You can find really creative ways to use the different AI tools to kind of accelerate what you do. And right now we're kind of in this space where, like you mentioned, AI is a buzzword that's everywhere. And we're kind of in an AI bubble, which reminds me of the .com bubble in the beginning of the 2000s, where yes, this is a revolutionary technology, but it's getting way oversold and way overhyped. And companies are getting overvalued for what they're bringing to the market. And most of these companies are overvalued because of their models, ChatGPT or Anthropic from Claude or whatever their thing is that they're selling. But most of these things, when you look at them, they're all kind of the same. And new models are coming out like every day from all over the world. Like the Chinese model called DeepSeek came out of nowhere and caught everybody by surprise because it was developed by a very small team very quickly and super cheap, where OpenAI has spent billions upon billions of dollars to train their AIs. And it was kind of like they did it for like next to nothing. So it's kind of starting to pierce the bubble of like things might be overhyped. And so it's not the AI models and AIs themselves that seem to be the value. It's what you do with them. It's how you productize it. What do you do? Actually, what's the feature you create with it? That's where the real value is going to come in.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. Like, it's a bad idea to start with AI, I think, on whatever you're thinking about. A better way is like, okay, I'm going to think of like as many ways as I can to solve this problem. I've tried everything I can think of. I give up. Now I go to AI and it brings me one more possibility and I try that and maybe that worked. did engineering in college, I did chemical engineering, and I always thought of this device that would spin with the car's tires, a nozzle that would, spin with them and helps that enough air pressure would be developed at the mouth of the nozzle to keep the tire inflated. And I wanted to do this calculation for a while, but I've been out of school like 20 some years. So I decided to put it into, ChatGPT, and it came out with the equations and everything. And it showed me, no, not enough pressure would be developed. I was disappointed, but because I've had training, I could tell, oh, that's right, Bernoulli's equation. And this, yes, okay. That's how it did it. That makes sense. And it gave me my answer. But if I didn't have that background, I don't think I could have gotten an answer like that. So it's like the more you know and the more you bring to the table, the more it can help you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I think right now, like if you only listen to the people that are in like I don't know what to call them, I hate calling them this, but like the AI fanatics, the people, like if you listen to the CEO of OpenAI, that kind of a thing, if you listen to the people that are totally bought into this, they're going to make it sound like we're weeks away from creating AGI, that just general intelligence, and the singularity is going to happen anytime now. I think the reality is no, it's not going to happen anytime soon. And it's just because the more you use these things and the more you talk to people who use these more sophisticated tools, like the researchers that are using not LLMs, but they're using other methodologies, we are so far away from that. It's these systems are kind of stupid. Like you mentioned, you kind of have to know what your expertise is still key in how you use these tools. It's not like it's a silver bullet that you can just go to these tools and just throw anything you want at it and get a good response out. You still have to understand how to use them appropriately.
Like what you did. You didn't just say to AI, make me a workflow and blah, blah, blah. Like I've had my team do this stuff. There's a lot of finishing work to be done. It's like 3D printing a house. That's why they're not all over the place. Because you can 3D print the walls and the basic parts of it. But then all the finishing touches, which could be a lot of work, you still have to do. Same thing with programming. Like it can give you the skeleton of a good program, but then there's a lot of things that you got to work on to really make it viable. And I think that's where it's overhyped. It's not like, oh, I created a business with ChatGPT in an hour, did it for me, and I made $1 million. Like, come on,
Yeah, where I think this starts to get a little dicey is, at least right now, is that it's already impacting people's jobs, not in the sense of, oh, we don't need a developer because we can have Claude code it for us. I don't think that's what we're seeing. What we're seeing now is more of, you're a 22-year-old who just graduated from college and you're looking for that entry-level job in a coding job. And most of those entry-level jobs are kind of evaporating right now, because that's where the kind of grunt work, the easy stuff, is being kind of sucked up by an experienced developer being able to take these AI tools and become way more productive. And it's taking care of the grunt work that normally you'd have somebody right out of school taking care of.
But what if it creates a vacuum then? And so let's just talk about coding. If this goes on for, I don't know, even like 3 years, let's say, what if it creates a vacuum because there's no jobs that are entry level, and now maybe some of the people that are more advanced have aged out or quit or whatever it is, and now there's not enough talent to really get them to and past that point so they can use AI effectively.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's not the case. I mean, that could possibly happen. I mean, like I worked in the tech sector, in the software sector for 20 years, and there was always a shortage of engineers. Always. Like that's why they get paid so. So it's one of those. I think it's going to take a while for that to happen, but I think it could, because it's like I've heard the grapevine from people that have just got out of school. They're having a real hard time finding jobs because there's just no jobs out there. And it's kind of surprising in the sectors that they're looking. I would be like, oh, there should be plenty of jobs in that sector. And I think it's
like engineering, coding, all that.
Yeah, exactly. I think part of the reason is because of this. I think companies are finding ways to automate things with AI tools that are just kind of sucking up those easy things that would normally be taken up by somebody who's much younger and more inexperienced.
Well, are they doing that, or are they maybe they're just giving into the hype right now and not doing what needs to be done?
Could be that too. I mean, like just last January, I went to CES, and it was like, it became a joke walking around the show floor. It was just everything had AI. Like every sign, every poster, every product was like now with AI. And it was like, here's your water bottle with AI. It's like, why would a water bottle have AI? Well, I don't understand. So it's like it was just like this hype of, I think there is this thing where everybody is just kind of drinking the Kool-Aid to a certain extent. And so I think there are probably companies slow rolling this because they think, oh, this is going to solve our problems. And they're going to probably discover very shortly.
It'd be interesting if you had like a smoothie place and you use like the little AI thing and you put in your preferences and it shows you like a couple different kinds of smoothies you can get for the day and you pick one. Like it'd be funny if you took it to the extreme, but a cool extreme, like the AI cafe, you customize the menu using their AI and the cook makes it for you because you have like 50 different flavor combinations or stuff. I don't know, just an idea came out.
I could totally see stuff like that happening. It's like one of the places, Japan tends to do some crazy stuff like this first. They tend to have a lot of restaurants and things like that are very kind of like automated, and they tend to be on the cutting edge of this kind of stuff. So I'm actually going to be going to Japan in October, and I'm looking forward to seeing if I can see anything like what you just described, because there might be something like that already.
That's true. Yes, they are famous for that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's true. So how do you think the regular average person is going to use it? I remember with smartphones, and it's true, all the world's information, well, not all, but you have a ton of information right in your pocket, a supercomputer, but most people just still seem to use it for like Uber Eats and porn. So what do you think will happen with AI? I mean, will most people use it very much, or they'll be given applications that may help them with this, that, or the other, and that's how they'll use it? What do you envision?
I think there's going to be two main ways people will be using AI every day. I don't think there's going to necessarily be an app that's like, oh, here's AI and you're going to use it. I think one of the factors is AI is just going to trickle into a lot of the devices we use. Apple past year, they made a lot of claims what they were going to do with what they called Apple Intelligence that failed. They did not deliver as promised, but they are coming. They're just coming late. But all of them are based off of what they call app intents. And basically what that means is you could talk to your device, talk to Siri and say, what time was I supposed to pick my mom up at the airport? And what time's her flight actually coming in? And then Siri would be able to understand your intent, meaning I need to look at your email. And then in your email, I know who your mom is, finds that email, finds the time of the flight and comes back to you. So, it's going to be 8:00 tonight. You have to go pick her up. Those kind of features are going to be AI powered, and they're going to just be in our phones, in our Android phones and our Apple phones. So these kind of intents, these like little mini agents, like I want to go to my favorite restaurant tonight at 8:00. Could you book me a reservation? And your phone just does it for you. That's going to be just kind of baked into how we're using this technology in our daily lives. The other aspect is it is the app. So like a great example, it's available today, is Perplexity, is kind of like a Google replacement, like a Google search replacement. I've been finding myself using Perplexity this way up more and more. Like you're looking for like your vacuum breaks, you need to get a new vacuum. It's like, I don't know what the best vacuum is. You can just go to Perplexity and say, can you give me like, where are the top 5, stick vacuums that are available today and that cost under X amount? And spins away for 10 seconds, comes back and here's a list of 5 things, give you a breakdown of each one, the pros and cons, the prices, and links to where you can go buy them. It's like,
yeah, that's cool.
Right. So that's available today. And they're also voice activated. So you can actually have full on conversations with Perplexity, a back and forth, like you're talking to a person about this kind of thing. So you don't have to type. You just open the app, hit the little microphone button, and just start talking to it, asking it questions, and it's giving you responses. So it's kind of a Google search replacement. And it's kind of a big threat actually to Google as a company. And that's why they're trying to evolve as quickly as they can into an AI company themselves, because they see the writing on the wall here. But I think those are the
use Google for like structured searches. So if I don't know, coffee near me, then I'll use Google because I like their maps best. But now anything where I want to know information, I just tend to use ChatGPT a lot. I've used Perplexity. Gemini, I don't like. It's a little, but yeah, you're right. You can ask more questions, follow-up questions. And now ChatGPT is like, so, you ask it about something. It's like, do you want me to prepare a summary table with pictures and this and that? Yes, thank you. Do you want me to blah, blah, blah? Oh, yes, great. Thank you. It's like so helpful and so complimentary and nice and useful that I'm starting to use it more and more for things to help me, which is great.
Yeah. I mean, it cuts out, this is where it's like controversial, because like I was doing a search for a product I was looking for, and it was not just doing a web search. It was pulling in Reddit threads and discourse comments from people talking about the different products they liked and didn't like. So it was doing an incredible amount of research that I could have done myself, but it would have taken me an hour to go through filtering all this stuff if I was doing it the old school way. But Perplexity did it for me in just 2 or 3 minutes. And I got fantastic results and the answers I really wanted. And so it kind of it kind of undercuts the whole reason of why would you go to Reddit? Why would you go to these websites? And so this is kind of like where the whole idea of AI and LLMs is becoming extremely controversial. It's why some websites are actually stopping AI tools from scraping their websites. Like Reddit has basically just kind of shut things down for ChatGPT to kind of go scrape it because of reasons just like this. So,
well, here's some paradoxical loop. So if that happened in mass, let's say they're looking at Reddit for comments, you would see Reddit would go way down. People on there would search a lot less. Therefore, there'd be a lot less novel content. And then the people searching for it, it would be a regurgitation and a recycling of the same stuff. And I would guess that the more people that search for it, the more that content becomes like self-reinforcing and narrow. So it would eventually not extinguish itself, but become a very narrow answer that's not helpful. It's weird. It's like AI, it can harvest this diversity of thought, but then again, you still have to use the other stuff to feed it continually.
Yeah, this is
very odd.
I refer to this as myself. I refer to it as the AI paradox. It's like AI is going to empower a lot of things, and it's also going to kind of undercut itself from its success. It's really kind of a strange thing. It's kind of hard to project where this is actually going to go because of that. I put out a video not too long ago called the AI paradox, where I was exploring around the whole idea of these companies are being overvalued and worth billions and billions of dollars because they're saying this is going to boost the economy 10x. And the question is, well, how is it going to boost the economy 10x if it's going to take all these jobs and make it harder for people to find jobs? And if people have jobs, they don't have money to spend, which means it's going to hurt the economy. So it's kind of like going to undercut itself from its success. And it's similar to what we're just talking about now. It's also like, okay, if it undercuts websites and the people who are creating the content that it's using, means fewer people are going to create the content, which means it's going to become kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy of a downward spiral of just AI slop that we end up with at the end. So it's kind of this weird kind of juxtaposition that's I'm having trouble kind of figuring out myself, because this paradox does exist and it's kind of unclear how we're going to steer through this as this evolves.
Yeah, we talked about this, when we spoke briefly offline. Now you have YouTube creators that just react to stuff. I've seen a whole bunch of them. They'll be sitting in the bottom of the screen pointing upwards, and then they'll show videos, and sometimes they won't even do anything. Or they'll be like, oh, this person's got it right. And they play the video. It's like derivatives of derivatives of derivatives. And things become, I guess, kind of self-reinforcing and narrow and like true echo chambers when that happens. It's so weird. And there's also, yes, the power of AI is to draw from all these different sources, but they're going to disappear or become lessons.
And there's also this, I know YouTube creators are concerned about this, but like just these AI slop video channels that it's not even a human. It's just, these videos are being written and produced completely by AI, and they're getting hundreds of thousands of views. And so it's like, there's a reason why they're succeeding, because people are watching them. And it's kind of like, it feels like a lowest common denominator, a way just to kind of like a race to the bottom when we go down that path.
It feels like that's what's happened to music. It's become just, I know I'm getting older too, but it's become just like computerized garbage where I don't know, there's like not even music anymore. AI might as well have created it. It's probably better what's out there. I don't know, it's weird. Things are devolving instead of evolving. It seems like the level of writing that people can produce, the level of music. Like where is a modern day Mozart or a modern day Brahms or Beethoven? Where is a modern day Shakespeare? Where is a modern day craftsman? Like I remember we took a trip to Italy like 7 or 8 years ago, St. Paul's, St. Peter's. You couldn't even recreate that today if you wanted to. There's no artisans that could do that. I mean, it would cost billions just to train the people to make a fresco or something that took someone, hundreds of years ago, like 10 years to do of their life. Yeah. So it's just odd. Like it's a self-poisoning of the data that AI will use to show us stuff. It all feeds into that paradox.
Yeah. I mean, this actually is, there's actually research papers on some of this where the concern that the AI produced content is going to become the content that AI is learning from. So that's learning from its own writing and its own output. And so it kind of starts to create this kind of like downward spiral of quality, and that it's been proven that this can happen. And so there's concerns that could happen. Like you brought this up a couple times, but like, I don't know if it's going to happen or not, because I'm still not convinced AI is going to be the all-encompassing thing that's going to like change the world that's being hyped. But it is a concern that we're going to devalue actual artists and art. My brother is a published author, and he's got, published books. He's got books coming out soon. It's like, and he's, of course, extremely concerned about this because you can go to ChatGPT and say, tell me a fun story about X, and it will just pump out a kind of schlocky, whatever you asked it to do. It's not going to be made with, thought and care and soul, but it might be all you want at that moment. It might satisfy that itch that you might be looking for. And it completely devalues the actual craftsmen who spent years perfecting what they're good at and creating something that's really worthwhile to look at or read or listen to.
Maybe we're lucky because we get to use AI, in this early state before it becomes poisoned.
Or hopefully we figure out
in the papers that you've read. Well, that too, yeah. In the papers that you've read, have they run scenarios where AI produced AI, and it's evolved into garbage? Has any of them tried that with, I don't know, a collection of a corpus of knowledge?
Yes. Yeah. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but there are research papers of people who have done exactly that. When you look at it, you can see they're doing a controlled scenario. So it's kind of it's understandable why it happened because of the way they did it. But you can also do the same thing with, I can't remember how many years ago it was, but I think it was Microsoft. They put out something with an AI that you could talk to on Twitter, and very quickly it devolved into just hate speech and spouting awful things, and they had to shut it down. It's very easy to kind of push these things and hack them in different ways to do things that they're not programmed to do. It's not necessarily a flaw of AI per se, but it's a weakness. It's something that can be exploited. And so some of these research papers, even though they have shown what we're talking about to be true, I would kind of make the argument of it's kind of just part of the weakness of AI in its current state. And so it's hopefully over time, the companies who are making these models can figure out ways to make them more robust and less prone to having that issue. But as they are right now, it absolutely could happen.
Yeah, just like what Google and all the search engines had to do because people would spam them. I mean, same thing with AI. Let's say I sell diamond engagement rings and I have a whole bunch of bots that go all over the web and say Joe's diamond engagement ring company is amazing and these other ones are terrible. And, so I'm putting all these artifacts out there knowing that AI will pick up on it and say, a predominance of people said that Joe's engagement ring place is the best. So you should go there and rank you. And it's just dangerous when knowledge itself can be shaped this way and you don't even realize.
Yep. That's the part that freaks me out a little bit right now, is that it's unclear. We live in almost a post-truth world now, because depending on which AI model you ask, you might get slightly different responses, and some of the responses may not be entirely accurate. There's hallucinations that these things have. Specifically talking about large language models. Not all AI has that problem, but large language models have hallucinations and they're getting better about it. But again, it's a weakness of how they operate. So figuring out how to solve that, it's not a small problem to solve. It's a huge problem to solve.
Any papers or knowledge about that, how to counteract data poisoning, how to even use AI and spot hallucinations, or I guess they'll just develop another one that checks, like a fact checker one, which could be poisoned itself. It never ends.
From my personal experience, it's I have come across so many hallucinations on these things that it's I always take any of these platforms tell me with a gigantic grain of salt. But it's also comes down to garbage in, garbage out. The more context you can give these systems, the better the results you get out. So there are ways to reduce the risk of hallucinations by putting boundaries on these systems. And a lot of these systems have those kind of built in that you can take advantage of, but it's not clear from a user perspective of how to actually do it properly. Which brings me back to the whole thing. I think the secret sauce of AI is not the models, it's the products that are built around them, and building good products to make it very intuitive and really empower the things that we're using and making them better is the thing we're striving for. But the actual models, it's if you're using ChatGPT or using Claude, they have these little things called either spaces or workspaces, where you can go in and you can attach to the workspace the knowledge that you are interested in. So let's say you're working on a product requirements doc, a PRD for your business, and you have PDFs and spreadsheets. You can attach those all to the workspace. Then you can talk to the AI about what you're trying to have it do and what questions you have. And it's using that as its knowledge. And you will find that it's not going to really hallucinate pretty much at all. If you're doing that, if you're giving it really good confines of this is the knowledge you need to worry about, don't think about anything else. Help me troubleshoot this or look at this or find patterns in this. And it will usually do a fantastic job. But if you're starting to kind of just going from the prompt as soon as you log into one of these tools, and you're just asking it broad questions without a whole lot of context, that's where it's like garbage in, garbage out. You might start to get a lot of hallucination. So it's the problem is like most users won't know this. And so they'll go in and ask a question and they'll get a result out that they may not realize is garbage, and they may take it as fact, as we've just talked about. So it's like there are concerns about how these products are being built.
Yeah, I wonder what's the level of trust in a Google search versus a ChatGPT or a LLM search? I wonder if the level of trust is high or low right now.
Well, I know that the Google's reputation in many circles, in the tech circles, is garbage for their search results. There's a kind of a movement against Google search because of how much the sponsored posts have corrupted the results. When you do a Google search, it's like the first page is almost all ads now, almost all paid placement. And they sometimes even have their Gemini summary at the top. And then if you pay attention to some of those summaries, sometimes those summaries are like hallucination fever dreams. They're like horrendous, completely inaccurate, doing a horrible job. And this is a product that is out there today used. Yeah. So there's a kind of an upswell of kind of like the downward spiral that Google's put their own search results into, which is going to drive people to things like Perplexity if they're getting better results and better output using these new tools.
Well, to turn it more positive, you gave one positive example earlier. You were able to, curate news feeds and feeder material for your channel. Like you've kind of 80-20'd it with it, which is great. Have you tried stuff like had an LLM like digest like every video you've ever done and point out topics you haven't covered? Or let's say on a particular video, analyze all the comments and tell me the predominant things that people are saying in here instead of going through them all?
I like the way you think, because yes, I have done all of that. Like when you look at my production workflow, I have a small team that helps me produce these videos. I've basically tried to automate and add AI tools to help us on everything from the pre-production to the post-production. So the actual deep research is still done by humans. The actual writing is still done by humans. It's still me on camera. It's still a human video editor. But when you're talking about the finding ideas for content for the RSS feeds, when you're talking about analyzing, is this video potentially going to perform well? Or what's the base level of deep research we could kick things off to decide if we want to do it or not? I'm using things like Perplexity to help me do that kind of stuff. On the back end, after a video comes out, I'm using tools that do exactly what you just described. When a video is a few days old, I have a tool that goes in and it grabs every comment from that video and an AI summarizes it and gives me this awesome report of what is the audience sentiment, positive, negative, neutral. Gives me a couple examples of positive, a couple examples of neutral, a couple examples of negative, and gives me recommendations of here's what I would suggest changing on future videos based on the feedback we're getting on this one. I've also got my YouTube analytics going into kind of a Notion database that I have an AI tool going into and helping me to analyze the data and the performance of my videos to determine which ones are resonating and not resonating, which ones are working well and not working well. So it's like I am using a lot of these tools to take things off of my plate that would be very complex for me to do and take a lot of time to do before. I've always done this stuff, but I've done it by hand. And now I have these tools doing it for me, saving me a lot of time, just freeing me up to spend more time on the actual video creation and less on the fringes of pre-production and post-production work. So I'm doing.
Maybe they should make what if they made like an AI nutrition label? Like this video is 10% AI, 80% this. So you can see like contains real juice or contains real content. They might have to have something like that with everything you look at.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because like YouTube is semi-rolling things out like this. I've been part of some beta features they've been rolling out. Some of the things I've actually had discussions with product managers over there on some of these calls were things like that of there's a now requirement when you put a video up, they require you to answer, is there any AI content, generated content in this video? And you have to tick the box, yes or no. It's up to me as the creator to check that, truthfully. So there's going to probably be people that will say, I didn't do that. And they did nothing but that. But what they're doing is they're laying the groundwork for starting to detect what's AI and not AI in videos. And I think they're going to go down that path at some point where they might have some kind of nutrition label on a video that might show up below the video saying this video is, 90%, AI generated or something like that, because we're going to need that at some point. I think they're laying the groundwork for that right now. And they're also doing AI deepfake tools where like in my account, I can go and see if there's any deep fakes of me showing up on the platform.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So AI is very much on the forefront of what YouTube is looking at. And it seems like they're trying to build out tools to stay ahead ahead of it and keep things in check so things don't just spiral out of control.
Yeah, because you're right. There are, and I know the voices now. It's funny, like for a long time, I did a lot of marketing and advertising and stock images. Like as I drive around town, I'm like, oh, I know that stock image. I know that one. You get to know the people in them. Oh yeah, I've used that one a few times. And on YouTube, same thing. Like some of the voices, I could tell, oh, I know this voice already. It's been on like 10 different channels. All right, this is AI. It's really weird. It's become a very strange all of mirrors in certain cases.
It has. Yeah. Disturbing at times.
So what do you see coming in the next, maybe, we can't go out too far because things change so fast. Maybe the next year, 2 years in terms of AI, like, with all the background research you do, I know most of it can't make it to the channel. It's just too much. But, what are you seeing that's coming, you think?
I think what we're going to probably see is like for things that like everyday Joe off the street is going to be saying is some of the stuff I talked about with your phones and the technology we use in our daily lives, being able to talk to your voice assistant and have it almost respond like a little mini butler. Like those kind of features are going to start showing up probably first on our phones in the next year, 2 years. Easy. Some of the other stuff that I've talked about, like the material science advances and things in medicine are happening right now at the research phase. They're not in anything that's a sellable product yet, but like the speed at which this is increasing for research and development means probably in the next 3 to 5 years, we'll start seeing those things hit the market of like this battery's breakthrough chemistry that it's got was powered by an AI discovery and a new material that's in it. I'm not seeing those in batteries and things like that are today or even probably in the next year. But the fact that they're happening now, there tends to be that lag time of 5+ years when it goes from research to an actual product. It might be 5, 8, 10 years. So it's like, I would expect in the 5-year time frame, we start seeing news articles about that. This new thing that you can get was powered by AI, or this discovery of this new material that's in this thing was discovered by AI. That's a little further out.
And then even then, what does that mean? It's not like the researcher just sat there and, the computer beeped and they woke up, oh, great idea. It's just.
I was gonna say the whole point of the excitement around that though is it's in theory, it's going to speed up the time to market for some of these things, where like a discovery in the research lab may have taken 8 years to get to that discovery, and then it might take another 8 to 10 years for it to become a product. We might see it takes 3 to 5 years to get to that discovery and takes another 3 to 5 years to get to the market. So we will start to see, I think, that time frame of the development shrink, which is exciting because that means we will get better products more quicker to the market. But all of us are very impatient. I know that from my YouTube comments, people are very impatient, saying things like, wake me up when it's finally here. But I think that's where the excitement for me is that it's just going to dramatically speed up the research and development phase of bringing new things to market.
Yeah, we'll have to see. What was I going to say to you? I think it escapes me now, but so are you going to be changing the format of what you're doing, or are you going to be doing like more, I don't know, is there any point in doing any disclosure? Like, this video, we did use AI, but here's how we did it. Like, what are you planning to do with your channel differently?
That's actually a really good point. I don't use AI for anything that ends up in the final video. So like I mentioned, it's human written, human edited, it's me on screen. So in that regard, I don't think I'm going to be changing anything for saying to people anything specific. But I do use AI tools, as I've talked about, for the ingest of information and the analysis of video performance and stuff like that. I'm using it extensively. I think for me, it might be the kind of thing like where I talk about that in a video here or there. And maybe at some point, if there's so much AI slop hitting YouTube, I might start doing something like 100% human, just to call out that we aren't doing what other channels are doing. But I'm going to have to play that by ear depending on how things roll out.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, well, very good. Are there any topics that are coming up in AI related that you can disclose, or is just as it comes, you'll report on it? Is there a series you're looking at doing, or?
It's more of a as it comes. Like I've done a couple of videos with AI about some of the concerns and issues I've been seeing around it, but there will be more, but it's more about as it comes.
Yeah, are there any endeavors or industries that you think are going to be either incredibly slow to do anything with it, or it's just not workable with particular industries or efforts?
Well, it's like you'd be looking at things like, I think medicine is going to be huge with this kind of stuff. Material science is going to be huge with this kind of stuff. The industries I think are going to be very slow, or not AI proof, I wouldn't put it that way, but are going to be more the hands-on trades. Those are going to be the things that won't see pretty much any of this impact them in any way or have much use for it. So like if you're talking about like people who are in construction or electricians, they're not going to kind of see anything about this, but there may be things that they deal with, the tools that they use, products that come to the market that they use to build houses with and things like that. They may see, like we were talking about the material science side of things, they may see improved products that are a result of AI, but I don't think it's going to impact kind of like the trades, that kind of stuff anytime.
Again, another paradox. What should you do when you grow up? Instead of being a lawyer or a CPA, you should be a plumber. You're more likely to have your job for a while. Yeah. And so it's another paradox. So weird.
Yeah. It's fascinating. Kind of fascinating.
Okay. Well, excellent. So, again, just want to thank you for coming. And like I said, I love your channel. You really do great work. And so I encourage everyone listening, Undecided with Matt Sherrill is a great channel to listen to. And you have his upbeat tone. And I just like how you explain stuff. And, again, keep up the great work.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on again.
No problem.
If you like this podcast, please click the link in the description to subscribe and review us on iTunes.
Thank you for listening to the Good Question Podcast. Please email support@thegoodquestionpodcast.com if you have any referrals to great guests for us to interview. Visit thegoodquestionpodcast.com to hear more interviews. And please help us spread the word by rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen to this podcast.